So the Mind School has so far talked to a lot of research scholars, mental health experts. So today we thought of doing something else and bringing a journalist to our foray. And we would like to know what is the life of a journalist, how hard it is, what is the battle. So here we bring Miss Ayesha Tabassum. She is a media professional with over 13 years of experience. She has worked as a TV journalist, a copywriter in an ad agency, and now she works as a senior journalist with the New Indian Express. She largely covers lifestyle beat, which includes writing on arts and culture, theater, cinema, books, music, fitness, and entertainment and sports. She has interviewed some of the top celebrities of India, such as Sunil Shetty, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Nandita Das, Irshad Kamil, Atul Kasbekar, Huma Qureshi, Tapsi Pannu, Vicky Kaushal, and Abhishek Bachchan. This is a list I am envious. I am envious of Aisha, so it's okay. But thank you for accepting my request, and welcome to the Mind School. And so, a little about the Mind
Hi,
School.
Devika. Thanks.
Yeah, little about the Mind School. The Mind School has been launched in order to spread awareness about social issues and topics related to mental health. Because obviously, talking about mental health is a taboo in India, and we are not very open to share our honest and genuine feelings with people. So to begin our interview, first of all, I would like to ask you, how has journalism evolved as a career?
Mm, Okay. First, thank you, Devika, for inviting me and actually thinking of me as a guest to speak with you on the Mind School. It sounds like a great initiative because I think mental health has taken a beating, especially during the lockdown. So it's always really good to be open about mental health issues and speak about anxiety or depression or any other mental health issue that you're facing. So I'm very happy to be speaking with you. And to answer your question about how journalism has evolved today, I think the lockdown has really kind of you know it was quite an unprecedented change that we thought that we witnessed in the last 3 months. Prior to this, we still were looking at how print held a significant importance in India, because we have so many newspapers and publications and magazines, not just in English, Hindi, but also in umpteen number of regional languages. But ever since the lockdown was imposed in March, I think a lot of publications, whether it is national dailies, national magazines, even regional, have switched over to online, to the virtual platform, to the digital medium. It's like everybody is going in full force and updating their website. Everyone is hooked on to their social media platforms, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. News breaks on Twitter these days. It's no longer like you wait for the TV channel to break. It's just that even people just tweet about it, and it's breaking news. So I think journalism is no longer restricted to being within the traditional media of print, television, and to a certain extent radio, because we also have All India Radio, where you get to hear the news bulletins every day. But today journalism has spread its tentacles to social media also, and by social media and the virtual world, the world wide web. So that's what that's the change that we witnessed. It's just like complete paradigm shift, I could call it.
Thank you so much for your wise answer. I would also like to know that this 24 by 7 news. Earlier, we used to watch Doordarshan, where we used to have the 9 o'clock news where the headlines would be read. But now we have like 24 by 7 news. Is it hampering the quality of journalism because it is not possible to circulate genuine news 24 by 7?
Okay, so I think this problem news channels have faced would have been about, like, say, a few years ago, when things didn't move at such a rapid pace like how they do now. you know that's the reason why when you go back to the archives, and if you look at some of the leading news channels in India, and look at their, perhaps, do a quick search on YouTube and say, for example, NDTV in, say, 2000 or 2001 or 2002. The daily bulletins would be punctuated with some feature programs, you know, where news was not developing. But I think ever since the parliament attack, I'm talking about the 90s, and since then, when a lot of news channels have launched, somewhere you know, it's not difficult to fill a 24-hour news channel with content, if that is what you're asking,
Yes.
because everywhere, somewhere in India, because India is such a huge, large country, right? You can't even, and it's such a unique country compared to all other countries in the world, because it's like a, you know melting pot of cultures and languages and different regions, right? So it's not really difficult to fill, content for 24 hours. Sometimes, news bulletins are kind of, people fight for a slot in a bulletin.
Oh.
I remember initially when I started my career, when I started my career, my boss used to tell me that, even a minute on television is eternity. To get a piece to camera is not easy. It's not at all easy. But today, there's so many issues that are plaguing our country. It's not just politics that I'm talking about. It's also like natural calamities. When the Kolkata floods happened recently, I mean, despite the fact that a lot of national news channels didn't cover it, you still knew that a lot of feed was streaming in on social media. So that way, when you look at a 24-hour news channel, there's always enough content. And coming to quality, whether quality suffers or not, uh, I mean, every news channel has their own agenda, right? And they have their own brief, the way they approach news and all of that. So I think most of them stick to that. Who decides what is good, what is bad? I mean, that is completely, I think, the TRPs will tell you that. The more the TRP somebody is watching, so perhaps they are doing something right, which is getting them the TRPs. Are they doing quality journalism? I mean, I don't know. We really can't judge them on that, because no two stories are the same. No two issues are the same.
Correct.
It depends on the way you cover it, your channel's approach, how you write it. Again, are they, are they keeping in mind integrity of the profession? Again, up to them. These are all the gray areas where I think I wouldn't want to, like, venture into. So I'll just let it be.
Yeah. So you have been into print and into TV, where you have explored both the areas. So how has your experience been in the TV media, and now that you are a lifestyle journalist, lifestyle editor, how has the what is the difference in the experience, and how has your overall experience been as a journalist in India?
Okay. So I'm not an editor, just to correct. I'm just like
Oh,
still
okay,
a journalist, not an editor.
okay.
So television is a very dynamic medium. So it's like, every half an hour there may be some update. Just look at the Beirut explosion that happened recently, right?
Yeah.
Maybe when it happened, I think in India the news broke at about 6 o'clock. It happened in the afternoon in Beirut. And here, by the time 6 o'clock bulletin, by 7, your headlines keep getting updated. Updated with what? 6 o'clock, the headline was about the explosion. By 7, how many people, how many casualties? By 8 o'clock, what next? Nations have reacted. So every half an hour bulletin, there's something new. It's a very dynamic medium. And another thing that a lot of people don't know, that a TV channel is not just run by reporters who are there on field. There's an entire army working back end, who are called producers, TV producers. So I was lucky enough to do a reporter's job as well as a TV producer's job, and both are equally challenging. As a reporter, news gathering process itself is quite a challenge, because you need to have your network of sources, in place. You also, when you're out on field, a lot of things matter. The traffic also is a deciding factor, whether you reach the spot on time or you got delayed. That is the problem. And a lot of things, you may, and literally when you're a reporter, it's a tough life, because if there's something happening in, for example, in Bangalore, and you don't have a reporter in Tumkur, or if something's happening in Jaipur, Jodhpur, there's no reporter, you may have to rush there, because your presence is really important, because you are the one who will be doing a live, you're the one who will be getting sound bites, you have your camera person with you, you have to, there has to be great teamwork to ensure that your story is covered well. At the same time, producers who are there in office, their job is to ensure that content gets updated every half an hour as and when it's streaming it. And which also means that somebody has to do a night shift. So the producers who are sitting in office at night, working towards the morning 6 a.m. bulletin, ensuring all the packages are ready. And even if, because the east is sleeping and the west is awake at that time, you also need to keep track of what's happening in the west. If there's something important that needs to be included at this, for the 6 a.m. bulletin. So all that is important. But as a print journalist, I think life is a lot more, I won't say relaxed, but you can plan things. You know, breaking news, of course you don't know what happens with that, but if you say, if you know that there's a follow-up story that needs to be done in another city, you don't have to literally travel to that city. You still can pick up the phone, you have your network of sources, you call them, speak with them. And with print, your weekly offs at least are not disturbed. Because even if you are not on job, your colleague, somebody is on duty that particular day and will go and cover. But with television, if you're the only reporter over there, in a bureau, then even your weekly offs are just taken away. And you falling sick is not really everybody's concern. So with print, I think it's a lot more relaxed. And with TV, somewhere the medium itself makes you a lot more bolder. Some level of aggression also is important, because there are like some 100 people covering the same topic, right? Like whichever story. So if you have to go and put your boom mic in the front, you better be tough to push through 50 men or 100 other cameramen, push your boom mic and get the CM's sound bite. But with print, yeah, but with print, it's like, okay, the CM's PA, the actor's PA or whatever, you can still call up and get a quote. So it's not as tough. But of course, the challenge in both remains who gets a good story. Who gets a story which matters to the people, and how well is it written, or how well is it covered visually.
So, if I ask you, what is your personal preference? Which one did you like more?
Uh, See, the advantage today, like I told you, right? I mean, earlier, I think 3 years ago, I would say, I'll have to make a decision between television or, print. And, the recent, I chose print because after working in a national news channel, you come back to Bangalore and, I didn't want to really work in a bureau. So I preferred working in a newspaper and, kind of leading a little bit more relaxed life. But today, in the last 3 months, I've realized that I wouldn't want to be called just a print journalist or a TV journalist. I'm more like a multimedia journalist,
Very nice.
which means if I'm doing a story for print, it also needs to be translated to visual media, and has to, I mean, to the visual medium, and then it can be, posted on social media. It can be shared with people and can be watched by people all over the world. So I would rather prefer calling myself a multimedia journalist.
Wow, that's a nice term. I would refer to you as multimedia journalist from now on. Okay, very good. So now we come to the most interesting question. WhatsApp University has made rounds and it has become a very popular source of opinions among people. So and it has also led to the increase of spreading fake news. How do in such a scenario, how do media channels maintain their reputation, and like when fake news is being spread um, at a lightning speed through WhatsApp
Yeah.
University, how do media channels maintain their reputation?
Okay. So the thing is, I attended a Google News Initiative workshop about a year ago. So a lot of Google has been doing this across India, where they're training journalists to spot fake news, because it's not like we are immune. It's not like I have like an immunity where the moment I get like a forward or whatever, I'll be like, no, this is fake. I can't believe it. It's not that. So we were trained to develop this skill of finding out if the news is legit, authentic or not, right? And at that workshop, I also learned about that the so-called term of WhatsApp University, where a lot of people, because I think all of our uncles and aunties and our moms, our father, everybody has become a journalist today. They think the moment they get a video clip or they get some text, they're like, oh, I got the information first and I have to forward it to my family group and they'll all, look at it and I'll be the first one to break the news. And it's the same case across India. It's not just, my family, your family, or somebody else's. It's everywhere. And like you rightly said, it's spreading at like lightning speed. No, you don't know where the message is going where. Because of such messages, lynchings have happened in the north. And not only that, communal violence has happened. It has instigated, because people take some picture from some earlier incident, will post it saying so and so belongs to a particular religion, then the opposing community guys have come and done something to the person. It's really really unfortunate and very sad. So that's the reason why perhaps you know Google as a company took this initiative and has done. I'm not plugging Google here, but I'm just trying to say that things are happening. Even as journalists, even newspapers, newsrooms, and news channels are training their reporters, their producers, their writers, sub editors to spot fake news, because it's a huge responsibility. The onus lies with the person who forwards the message. If you don't know if it is legit or not, then how can you? Because it's eventually, what my teacher had taught me earlier. It's nothing but mass communication. You are spreading a message which you think is going to your 5 to 10 family members, which then perhaps will be forwarded to their 10 other family members. It's a in fact, it's a deep penetration into the masses. Your communication is going to every nook and corner of the country. So as a journalist, of course, we have to be very cautious. We have to know what is being forwarded. We need to know what news, what are the headlines, and because a lot of it is forwarded with a hidden agenda, whatever it is. You need to be very careful when you spot such news, forwards and all of that. We are trained, like I told you, as an editor. You need to be, that's why we are always taught to be very skeptical. Don't accept something without asking questions. You need to investigate, you need to cross check. Okay, you don't know where the source, where it has come from, ask the person who has sent it. There perhaps you'll find some link to some person who may be associated with it. Maybe some forward has come saying UP police has said this. So call the UP police station, ask them, did you send this? As a journalist, that's the least you can do. Call back, because that's your job to ask questions. But as an individual, as a citizen of the country, which is again so large and demographically so different and varied, every citizen should act responsibly when it comes to forwarding messages. It's not a simple forward today, especially today. In the last few years, we've seen how it has changed, and with the kind of user base that is in India, and with Mark Zuckerberg showing more interest in the country and coming and tying up with Geo and investing more in WhatsApp, you need to be responsible. Of course, WhatsApp also is taking a lot of you know uh, precautions. They're saying that you can forward only to one person, then it will be mentioned that it is forwarded. There'll be a red flag if it is a fake news item. All those things are being put in place, but there's only companies can act to a certain extent. Eventually it depends, like, completely the onus lies with the individual.
Thank you. So, as Mind School has spoken about mental health, so as a journalist, I know the life of a journalist is very tough and hectic, as you have said. So, I would like to know from you that how do you handle stress and how do you maintain your sanity levels?
Okay, so I think to strike a balance, it took a while. Because I think all of us, when we start a job, we have those initial teething problems where you need to adjust to different lifestyle. You're more responsible and all of that. So I've also been through the same things. Very stressed. And when you're younger, you're always thinking very ambitious. You're like, oh, I need to do that show. I need to get that story. I need to. After I think 13 years now, I've calmed down a lot. I'm like, okay, today if I don't get, say, Shah Rukh Khan's interview, I'll get it 10 years later. It's not a big deal. I mean, I'll put in effort, I'll try my best. It's not such a big deal. So I think I've calmed down a lot. what I've realized is, as an individual, you need to find something through which you can bust your stress. It's very important. It can either be a hobby or an activity, or just spending time with your family, whatever it is, you need to, because no matter where you are, you're always stressed, right, when it comes to work. So you need an outlet for that to, let go of the stress. I think for me, the only thing that has helped me to stay calm is I started like running in 2011. I've been working out regularly. Then I try and spend as much time as possible with family. During the lockdown, I discovered that I really like cooking. You know, somewhere all these things take your mind away from work, and you use your mind in something different. And I think, yeah, so running, cooking, spending time with family, all these things kind of have helped me strike a balance.
That's lovely. That's lovely to know. So next, this is something I am very interested in because I used to follow World This Week, Pranoy Roy especially, and investigative journalism is something which the NDTV started. So,
Hmm.
and NDTV was good at investigative journalism. So, what are your
Hmm.
thoughts on that, and how do you see it? Why don't young journalists opt for investigative journalism?
So, see, investigative journalism, I mean, I've never been one, but from what I have gathered after so many years of experience with that, investigative journalism happens all the time, because we all are asking questions. We all are trying to figure out, who the source is, what is it. But if you're hinting at things like what the Helka used to do, and like you mentioned, the NDTV and all of that, for that, I think a lot of factors come into play. A, you you as a journalist need to be interested to break such stories, which implies your network has to be good. You need to know what is happening. You need to, have your finger on the pulse of the country's politics, current affairs, sports. You need to know the government agencies in and out. You also need to know what's happening in all the sectors, because only then will you, and you need to have a nose for news. When I say nose for news, the moment you know that there's something fishy somewhere and you smell it, you need to go after it, you need to chase it, right? And another thing is, at a time when, Tehelka and ITV and all were doing investigative journalism, there was no influence of social media. We need to keep in mind that, somewhere, to a certain extent, there was, a level of censorship, which meant you could go pursue a story without anyone knowing. But today, everyone has eyes and ears. If you are chasing a story and you're going to, say, some tiny village or something, and somebody is tracking you with Google following us everywhere, it's very easy to bust such a, you know uh, report if somebody is trying to work on it. So it comes with its own set of challenges. And people, I think, a lot of people have risked their lives to do this. Okay. And I know that, many young people will be interested to do it. Of course, you need very supportive editors. You need an even more supportive organization, which unfortunately has changed today, because most of the organizations are funded by, news organizations are funded by big businesses, and they may not want to go against people in power. It's not easy to do investigative journalism, not at all. Because I don't know how many people will remember. There are so many stories that get covered in smaller publications as well. But how many come to light? You need the backing of a big, strong organization to ensure that your report gets that many readers and gets highlighted.
Mm,
So a lot of factors. It's not easy to do it today.
mm.
Uh, it sounds, until unless the organization doesn't have an agenda against the people who are in power. So all those things matter.
Yeah. So, as you spoke that the news channels are backed by the corporate houses and the big corporate houses, now we come to the question of ethics. What do the how do you what are the basic ethics that a news channel or a newspaper should follow, like while covering a story? What are the basic ethics to follow?
So basic ethics, if I had to point out, truth matters. No matter what, say the truth. Be objective and unbiased, because I think it's really important to do that. You can't have leanings. And today, I think everybody is so, kind of has their own agenda. So you need to be unbiased. And also, integrity is very important. These three things, personally, I think are most important. But a lot of things have changed today, not just in Indian media, but world over. So I wouldn't want to comment on that. Yeah, but at a personal level, I think that's very important. You really need to stand by the truth, find the truth, stay unbiased. So that's very, very important.
Yeah, so like you said that social media has a lot of impact on the that is where I was hinting at when I was asking about the fake news part. Because see, what happens is social media has circulated a piece of news which the news channel or a print media channel will take time to do research about that news piece. We don't even get that much of time. We lose a lot of time because already that message has been spread and spread like wildfire, thanks to social
Hmm.
media. And so how what do you think, any laws or there should be some support, in legal terms, for
Yeah,
the
there are, there are.
for the media channels?
Of course, there are a lot of laws. There is there are media laws which news channels need to follow. There's no doubt about it. Um, but somebody else has to question you, right? Somebody has to file a case against you. Only then those laws come into play. Otherwise it's like, हाँ story चला रहे हैं चलाने दो, बात हो रही है होने दो. It's like that, until. So you need to, somebody has to, it's like you have to file an FIR, a complaint, for the police to take action. Similarly, somebody has to do that. But if you're looking at social media, where a lot of fake news gets circulated, there are two organizations who are doing great work. There's Alt News and Boom Live. I
Yes.
follow their accounts. So they keep busting, fake news items, and they go back to the source saying who has sent this video or who has posted this image, why is it being circulated. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And they are startups.
Hmm.
They are not like organizations which are backed by some billionaire.
Hmm.
They're just startups with like-minded individuals who want to do, good journalism. That's the only thing. And there are many, many small new startups that have sprung up in India, and they all are doing like really, fabulous work, fabulous job. So sometimes it so happens that I may not even, when I go to Twitter, I may just directly go to their accounts to see, okay, what has been going on social media which is fake, which I need to avoid. Which I need to avoid, and avoid forwarding, avoid sharing. So I think that's the basic. But the problem today is the level of illiteracy in India that is there, uh, and which is not. Uh, I think the number of people who use social media is inversely proportional to that, which means the number is a lot more than people who are illiterate, right? The people who
Yeah.
are using social media, which includes people who are literate and illiterate. When I say illiterate, it's not just writing and reading, but also people who don't know how to use social media.
Correct. Correct.
They're just picking up, right? They're just understanding, because it's like a wild animal, social media, which needs to be tamed. When I say it needs to be tamed, you need to just understand how to deal with it, how to handle it, and how to work around it.
Yes. I really like the subscription model of journalism that has started, like alt news. You said alt news, The Wire, Quint. They are all running on subscribers, and they are being supported by subscribers. Even Deshbhakt is a channel by Akash Banerjee. He was a former journalist who started his own YouTube channel. He is doing pretty well. He is spreading a lot of, he's busting a lot of myths. So do you also have a plan, a future plan of doing something like that? Because you have seen both sides of the of journalism.
No, I think I'm just very happy uh, writing and speaking with writing about and speaking with the rich and mighty of India. So
Yeah,
no, I'm very unapologetic about it because I
very
think I was a hard news like a reporter producer initially when I started, and I became a licensed journalist just by chance. I didn't choose, but because there was no opening for a hard news reporter, there was an opening only for a lifestyle journalist, and I just opted for it, and that's how I took it up, and I don't regret it at all. I think it's important. Who wouldn't want to read about celebrities? Who wouldn't want to read about the rich and mighty in India? Everyone wants to know about them, but at least, yeah, when it comes to my reporting, and I always remember that integrity matters the most to me. So I would never indulge in any kind of gossip about them. I wouldn't write for a gossip column. I wouldn't fabricate news saying, "Oh, this one is that," and off late with one of the actors' death. A lot of these entertainment journalists are being pulled up for the things that they've written.
yeah.
So gossip is something that I stay away from. Facts matter. Truth matters.
Very nice. Nice to know your views. I would like to ask you, what is one advice you would like to give the future journalists, the students who are studying journalism right now?
Okay, so a lot of people want to get into journalism because they see reporters on TV, on air, or anchors, and they think it's a very glamorous job. No, it is not at all. It's the most unglamorous job to be a journalist simply because you don't know where you'll go to cover a story. You may be sweaty, grimy, and really tired. You may have to go without water for many hours, or you may have to go hungry to bed, depending on what beat you're covering. Even being a lifestyle journalist is not easy because before every interview you have to do your homework. Then you have to know about different topics to be able to ask good questions, and so it's not at all an easy profession. Basically, you have to be a learner for life. Okay, when I say learner for life, you need to read a lot. Unfortunately, many youngsters think they can just get into journalism because you are earning your bread through the words that you write and speak. So if your vocabulary is not good enough, if you don't know enough words, then how are you going to earn that bread and even justify, earning that particular income? So please read. Very important. Only
Yes,
when you read, you will be able to write well. And
correct.
don't think it's a very comfortable, cushy job. No, it is not. You won't be sitting in the AC for long. You're not an armchair journalist. Even today, now with the lockdown, it's become challenging to network. But touchwood, I think we have a good network of sources, good network of people that we know. But if you're starting out, please put in a lot of effort to build a good network of sources. So it's not a comfortable job. Don't expect AC, don't expect VIP treatment, or don't expect to get paid uh, astronomical amount. No, it's a very middle class profession. You'll be able to lead a decent middle class life, and yeah, you need to read a lot. You keep learning throughout. I mean, till you decide to quit this career, you'll keep learning.
Wow. Journalism being a middle class career, that is something which I learned today. And but so now if I ask you, like you have shifted from TV to print, but what is the ideal career graph of a journalist?
uh, so when you say ideal career graph, you just keep getting promoted, right? It's on paper. You start with by trainee reporter, then depending on which organization you are, you may become senior reporter, principal correspondent, or special. Uh, on paper, your graph looks like you're growing, but eventually the work that you're doing will remain the same, which essentially is talking to people, gathering the news, writing, getting in print, right? In print. If you're a TV journalist, again it'll be on paper. But if you're a reporter, you'll still go out, talk to people, get sound bites, come back, put your news story together, and all of that. If you're an anchor, uh, you still have to read, and after an anchor, what next? You'll keep appearing on TV. You may do special shows. So essentially, the work that is for a journalist remains the same, which is meeting people, reading, writing. But if you are planning to go in a managerial position, which an editor is more of a manager as well. I mean, editors don't really write as many stories because they don't get time. For them, they also look at how should the newspaper or the channel grow. What are we doing right? Should we introduce some new programs, new segments? In print, you'll be like, should I introduce a new column? Should I start a new supplement? Should I get some other columnist to come and write for me? So that is the kind of growth that we'll be looking at.
Yeah, very nice, very interesting views. Now, coming back to your lifestyle journalist profession, so you have met Amitabh Bachchan's son, Abhishek Bachchan, and maybe I think you must have you also had a glance of AB?
No, not yet, not yet, not yet. Not senior Bachchan. Yes, junior I've met. Yeah.
Yeah, junior. I have read your article on him. So one celebrity that you loved interviewing, and one whom you desire to interview. Who is in your wish list?
Mm, okay. Uh, there are many people who are very nice to speak with. Tapsi is very nice to speak with. She's very forthcoming, very bold, very uninhibited. Likewise, Richa Chadha. No, Sunil Shetty is like a breeze to interview. Very calm, very relaxed. He makes you feel very relaxed. He's very chilled out. So I really enjoyed interviewing him. Um, Nawazuddin is good to interview, but you have to be well prepared to interview him because then he'll ask you questions. So you can't just like cut a sorry sticker in front of him. So Nawaz is a little tricky to interview.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, Nawaz I've interviewed twice. Sunil Shetty also I've interviewed twice. Um, Vicky Kaushal also is good to interview. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, all these people. And somebody who I really desire to interview, I really would love to interview Shah Rukh Khan someday. He's so witty
oh,
and
that's nice.
his sense of humor is great. So I'll have to be, well prepared to interview him.
Wow, that's very nice. That's very nice. Thank you so much for coming to the Mind School and sharing your thoughts about journalism and showing the way forward to young aspirants of journalists, young aspiring journalists. So I hope the audience has liked the show and they will take the key takeaways from this interview. Thank you so much, Ayesha, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Devika. It was a pleasure speaking with you.